base what I'm telling you, that this earth belongs to you. Money was not an invention of God. It was an invention of men. It's an evil invention used to oppress humanity, to enslave people, keep them down, to keep them poor. And it has been a very powerful tool in the arsenal of the evildoers. What can I say? I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. It's just an idea. I don't hate a living being, but I'm exposing those living beings that are invested in this current establishment. I have an obligation, very biblical, very scriptural, have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. And like Jesus said, he said, be as shrewd as serpents and as innocent as doves. So you've got to get into the minds of these people, at least far enough to know, yes, they have abandoned conscience. Their fruits reveal that. And so let's just, call a spade, that evil people create the policies we're all forced to live under by law, by mandate. They got all these rules, regulations, and laws that only benefit them, that create the wealth and income imbalance, the disparity keeps flourishing, and that creates poverty and desperation, and the crime is related to it, and suicides and broken homes and abortions and prostitution and forms of escapism like drug use and alcohol use. All these issues. It creates dubious wars created for profit and control, and it's just deflections and diversions from, just don't fixate, don't listen to this guy, don't listen to me, and tell you, look, focus on the Federal Reserve. Say, no, we don't want any private entities involved. We, the people, are the only private entities that are going to be involved in calling the shots, and we're going to be overseeing. We're going to be the checks and balances. We, the people, are going to be the accountability over the issuance and printing of the currency. Until we, the people, have that power, not we, some of the people, all the people equally have that say-so, and decide our economic destiny of the future, then we're never, all hope is lost. Okay, like that bailout of '08, okay, where 90+% of the American people were against the bailout, yet it went through. So they had a critical mass, even though that critical mass was maybe, 5% that were really invested in that, like the top politicians. They're very culpable in this. Very culpable. They are the ones that legitimize and validate the theft of the wealth of our nation, because that's exactly what took place in 2008. When they said it's okay that all these banksters, they dumped all this money on the market. It was the stupid borrower's fault because they were liars on these liar loans, and they're the ones that blew it. They overextended themselves, and they lost their homes in mass foreclosures, and this is the theft of the wealth of our nation. Do you understand? The experts are the ones that are supposed to be deciding, oh, it was okay to lend out all this money. It was prudent. It was safe. When they knew it wasn't, they knew damn well it was going to blow the pipes out of the economy. And so what happens? Chain reaction inflation. When they validate these high housing costs, instead of having a market correction, is what capitalism would have done, where the price would have dropped and your dollar would have gone up in worth in 2008, relevant to housing costs. And then you would have seen a chain reaction in reverse. Instead of inflation, we've seen a cost of living deflation. Your dollar would have gone way up in worth. We would have had a reset of economic reality. So instead, we're all entrenched in this. We're accepting it. A lot of people say, well, get on with it. Get over it. They don't even talk about it anymore. And all these people say, if we don't learn from history, we're destined to repeat it again. Repeat it again? We can't even learn from recent history. What was that, 9 years ago now, right? And still people get on with it, get over it. Now high housing prices are good. I got, Alex Jones saying, oh, they're going to try to bust the housing market by raising interest rates and all this. Oh my God, with the intellectual prowess of a man like Alex Jones, that he doesn't fundamentally get that. I don't know. I mean, it's almost like he's got a brain tumor or something. I don't know. It's just a block, like scales over the eyes, because he's a Christian man. He reads his Bible and the teachings of Christ, but he doesn't understand this fundamentally. He knows that all these economic people, he gets Peter Schiff on the show, he gets Harry Dent on the show, he gets Max Kaiser on the show, he gets Paul Craig Roberts on the show, all these people that know so much about economics, and they're honest people with integrity, a lot of them. And yet he still walks away believing that's good. I mean, look, if you're going to manipulate markets and you're going to speculate and invest in real estate and house, do it at the high end, the highest end. If manipulate markets in the multimillionaire category, okay? But when it comes to the blue collar working class housing, hands off, leave it alone. Okay, you want to see the middle class grow, then you've got to allow people to enter it. Right now, it's still dwindling. The percentage of home ownership in California is dropping. Home sales might be up, but it's people buying multiple housing. That's what's going on. So I'm sorry, folks. I'm not. I'm not a self-righteous guy. I'm just saying I've got to say it the way it is. I can't shrink away from it. I know my stuff when it comes to this. I know what's supposed to happen, just the same as that little kid that knows that he'd rather pay 10 cents for a pack of gum than 50 cents. So let's just all be honest, folks, okay? I love and care about everybody. I want the best for everybody. We not only have the right to be everybody's friend, okay, but we have an obligation, a duty, like Jesus said, love your enemies. So it's very freeing when you say, I don't have to condemn my enemy, but I might have to expose them. My nemesis, whoever, they might not even know that they're my enemy. But if they don't know the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, and be willing to espouse that, speak of that truth, and instruct people and edify them properly and correctly and logically and mathematically provable, then they're misleading people. It's malinformation. It's maldirection. We've got to get on the same page here. We have to define words that are so subjective. Let's hear it. What do you mean by leftist? I'm a leftist, for crying out loud. You're going to condemn me, okay, for believing in liberal philosophies of generosity when I believe the God of the Bible is very leftist and liberal and generous? Are you going to do that? But I also believe the God of the Bible is conservative and prudent, okay? You're going to condemn me when I say, look, I could prove to you how I can lower your taxes. I could cut them in half overnight. And then you say, well, but you're a leftist. You're for high tech. No, I'm not. I'm not for the Robin Hood theory. I'd make a really bad socialist. I don't believe in taking from haves to give to have-nots. I don't believe in that. That's wealth redistribution. That doesn't work, for one thing. It just creates animosity. Okay, and it's immoral, it's ill-gotten gain. You can't just steal from people. No, the entire system needs to be restructured. Okay, these people won't pay, the people that can afford to pay the bills of society, they always find a way to weasel out, to evade, to avoid paying the taxes. Okay, so yes, there's simple, plentiful solutions, but there's all these obstacles in the way. If we start solving problems, do you know how many people's jobs would be rendered irrelevant? Think about it. Think if you just ended desperate poverty, how much cheaper it'd be for society. Crime plummeting overnight. How much would that save you in taxes? Instead of you paying $50,000 a year for one inmate that's been incarcerated because he did some stupid thing that involved financial desperation. And then all the dubious war that's not going to be able to get started because guys aren't going to go off to those wars because there's so much opportunity building a bridge to Hawaii with all these beautiful islands on the way. Imagine it. Beautiful resort hotels with plenty of vacancies and yacht harbors and campgrounds. We can have it any way we want it, man. Just any way we want it. Just any way we want it. Restaurants and anything we want we can have. Coffee shops and pizzerias and floating islands and big bridges for shipping lanes to make sure the ships can pass underneath the bridge safely. Use your imagination. This is fun. And most people that set off on a trek to Hawaii don't ever make it 1/10 the way there. They have so much fun just on those beautiful first few islands on the way. They say, who needs to get to Hawaii? You understand? We could have, 2 lanes each direction, right? Completely safe lanes, segregated bike lanes, hiking lanes, segregated, all safe. Have it whatever we want. Your imagination is the limit of what we can do. And your taxes can go down. You got a willing workforce, doing what they want to do with their lives with a bounce in their step, song on their lips, and joy in their heart, serving one another with glee. Free. Absolutely free. That day is coming, one way or another, sooner or later. God's will is going to be established on earth. And when it is, just like the Lord's Prayer, it says, may God's will be done on earth as it is in heaven. How is it in heaven? Like Jesus said, be ye perfect. Be idealistic. That's what we're shooting for. No compromise in that statement. When you're free indeed. You're absolutely free. There's nobody over you telling you, do this or else. Okay, we got to get away from that, man. And until we do, We're not going to be free. And when we do, we will be free. And we can all be God's servants of our own free will and accord. And just say, yes, I want everything to make sense. And if I turn to God, everything does make sense. It's like jumping into that pool of clean, fresh, clear water, and out of this muddied and bloodied, deliberately muddied and bloodied waters of this world system, this current world system that's run by no less than the spirit of Satan. Jesus called the prince of this world, the prince of darkness. It's just, the two are incompatible. Only one can prevail in this thing. One has to be thrown down. And Satan cannot continue to prevail if the captives are set free, especially monetarily free, economically free, financially free. That's Satan's worst nightmare. And all these evil people in the world, all these top politicians, these elitists, these hypocrites, okay, the top guys, not even the multi-billionaires, okay, they're paupers compared to the people that are rubbing elbows in the money printing class, the issuance of currency class, okay. They're nobodies. Okay, folks. Quickly into some of the recent current events. We got the mainstream media. God, these people sick of me. They're all reading off the same script. They're getting their marching orders from on high. So obvious. Alex Jones had Mark Dice on the show. Great guy. I like him a lot. He's out there very busily and very steadfastly exposing the fruitless deeds of darkness, the evildoers. He's a man of integrity and honor, values his soul, obviously. And he's very intelligent and he's very witty. And I have a lot of regard, a lot of respect for these guys. I think his man on the street sometimes, I think he's probably had some threats because he's made some people look stupid because of their ignorance. But he's right. His point made is that there is widespread ignorance. Even the mainstream media now, they're going out and they're asking people, have you ever heard of net neutrality? And all these people, I mean, I've heard the term at least 3-4 dozen times in the channels I'm listening to, people I listen to who've never heard of it. That's come across. The mainstream media talks about it. People don't even watch mainstream media news anymore, much less internet news. There's so much widespread ignorance out there. And Mark Dice exposes that. People don't know. For 4th of July, they'd have no idea what that's about. Okay, Independence Day. Oh, that's right. The independence from the British and all. Oh, then it starts coming into. But if you ask them on their own, they don't know these things. Basic, fundamental stuff. Okay, that everybody ought to know. People ought to know there's chemtrailing programs, but if you just listen to mainstream media, which a lot of people aren't even doing that, you don't know about chemtrailing if you don't go on the internet and research it for yourself. I mean, that's how it is, finding stuff out. And then when you do find stuff out, you can't keep it to yourself. We've got to share information. And even if you're in a class and your professor knows so much more than you, don't be afraid to ask those questions you already know the answer to. You're not even smarter than the teacher necessarily. He knows it, but he's keeping it to himself, tight, close to the vest, because he's only instructed to teach this. All I have to do is do this, and I fit my requirement, keep getting my paycheck. I don't need to empower these people. That's not my job. My job is to just conform them to what I'm told to conform them to. So understand what's going on here is that you pupil, you're just as smart as your professor, okay, by putting 2 and 2 together. If you can do 2 and 2, if you can answer the question the little kid does about what you'd rather pay for gum, 50 cents or 10 cents, then you can ask the teacher the hard questions too. Like, is it true that desperate, extreme poverty could be ended worldwide tomorrow? We've got a willing workforce, and what Adam Smith said is true in The Wealth of Nations, and every nation's single greatest asset is its workforce, and how come society doesn't reflect that? I mean, these are questions that should be asked, and the pupils in the class need to hear it too. They need to hear these questions. Okay, that's what we need to talk about here, folks. But the MSM makes me sick. They're talking about Trump like he's some perverted sex addict or something, harasser, and not a word about Bill Clinton, even though he settled all these sexual harassment. I don't even rape. I think that he's even been charged, or at least these women are claiming that he raped them, and they're willing to go on record. Remember, all these claims are just claims until they can be proven. And if people he's given out these settlements, okay, Bill Clinton did this, and the mainstream media won't touch it. They're not ever talking about Bill Clinton's sexual harassment settlements. and rape, whatever. I don't know if that's, I don't know. I just don't know. Who knows when women accept, oh, I'll take $100,000 or $500,000, whatever these settlements are. They're undisclosed, right? Because that's the deal. No, they sign a non-disclosure, and here's your money. Let Bill Clinton keep sexually harassing women, and but the mainstream media won't touch it, even though this stuff's on record. But yet Trump's the bad guy because of this locker room banter with this idiot Billy Bush. Billy Bush should be doing hard time for felonious taping, okay? Because that, as far as I knew, was a phone conversation between Billy Bush and Trump, and it was not. Look, and California is a two-party consent state. If somebody is taping you to incriminate you, they need to inform you, or they can be charged. You understand, and go to jail.